Why would anyone willingly wear a giant white hat inside one of the hottest rooms imaginable? At first glance, a chef's hat looks almost ridiculous. It's tall, stiff, heavily folded, and sometimes so oversized it resembles a costume more than professional clothing. Most people assume it's simply tradition, or maybe just a fancy way to keep hair out of the food. But hidden inside that towering white hat is a story filled with status, survival, obsession, and one of the strictest workplace hierarchies ever created. For centuries, the height of a chef's hat could instantly reveal who held power in the kitchen, who was still a beginner, and who had mastered skills that few people on Earth could achieve. And strangely enough, some chefs once wore hats so tall they needed cardboard hidden inside just to keep them standing upright. To understand why chef hats became so tall, we need to travel back to 19th century France, the birthplace of modern fine dining. Long before celebrity chefs and television cooking competitions existed, professional kitchens were chaotic places with very little standardization. Cooks wore whatever head coverings were available at the time: soft caps, floppy bonnets, scarves, or simple cloth wraps. There was no universal uniform and certainly no iconic tall white hat. That changed because of one man: Marie-Antoine Carême. Today, historians often describe him as the world's first true celebrity chef. He cooked for royalty, aristocrats, and powerful political leaders across Europe. His reputation became so legendary that people called him the King of Chefs and the Chef of Kings. But Carême wanted more than fame. He believed cooking should be treated as a respected profession rather than low-status kitchen labor. And to achieve that, he thought chefs needed discipline, organization, and a professional image similar to military officers. So he redesigned the kitchen uniform from the ground up. One of his biggest changes was introducing the toque blanche, the famous white chef's hat still recognized around the world today. And the color choice was extremely deliberate. In the early 1800s, kitchens were filthy environments filled with smoke, soot, grease, and unbearable heat from wood and coal stoves. By forcing chefs to wear spotless white uniforms and hats, Carême created a visual symbol of cleanliness and professionalism. Any stain became instantly visible. To wealthy customers dining in aristocratic households, a perfectly white chef's uniform signaled that the kitchen itself was clean, disciplined, and trustworthy. But while the white color represented hygiene, the unusual height of the hat served an entirely different purpose. Actually, two purposes. One involved survival. The other involved power. Professional kitchens in the 1800s were nothing like the sleek, modern kitchens we see today. They were loud, overcrowded, exhausting, and brutally hot. Massive wood-burning ovens and coal stoves blasted heat non-stop for entire days. Temperatures inside some kitchens became almost unbearable, especially during large royal banquets, where chefs worked for hours surrounded by open flames and boiling pots. And this is where the tall chef's hat became surprisingly practical. The cylindrical shape helped trap rising heat and direct airflow upward, functioning almost like a chimney for the chef's head. While it didn't magically make kitchens comfortable, it did help release heat and improve air circulation slightly during long hours of cooking. But practicality was only part of the story. The real reason the hats kept getting taller had everything to do with hierarchy. Carême organized his kitchens almost like military command centers. Every chef had a rank, specific duties, and a precise place within the chain of command. Discipline mattered enormously, especially in elite royal kitchens where mistakes could destroy reputations. And the easiest way to identify authority was through the height of the hat. The executive chef, the person controlling the entire kitchen, wore the tallest toque in the room. Lower-ranking cooks wore smaller hats, while apprentices and beginner workers often wore short caps or simple head coverings. In some kitchens, you could instantly determine who held power without hearing a single word spoken. Just look for the tallest hat. Carême himself reportedly wore a towering chef's hat measuring around 18 inches tall. It was so large that hidden cardboard supports had to be placed inside to stop it from collapsing under its own weight. At that point, the hat was no longer just clothing. It became a crown, a symbol of authority, mastery, and dominance inside one of the most demanding professions in the world. And if the height of the hat showed rank, the folds covering it revealed something even more impressive: skill. If you look closely at a traditional chef's hat, you'll notice it isn't smooth. It's covered in carefully pressed folds known as pleats. Most people assume those pleats are purely decorative, but according to culinary tradition, They once carried a hidden message about the chef wearing them. Experience. For generations, many chefs believed the number of pleats represented the number of cooking techniques a chef had mastered. And among culinary circles, one number became legendary: 100 pleats. Reaching that level supposedly meant a chef had mastered 100 different ways to cook an egg. At first, that may sound exaggerated or even humorous. But inside professional kitchens, eggs have long been considered one of the ultimate tests of cooking skill. Because eggs are deceptively difficult. A few seconds too long can ruin the texture completely. Too much heat can turn them rubbery. Too little control can collapse delicate dishes instantly. From soft scrambling and poaching to omelets, custards, soufflés, hollandaise sauces, and complex pastry techniques, eggs require precision, timing, temperature control, and deep technical knowledge. That's why many culinary schools still use egg dishes to evaluate beginner chefs today. In old culinary tradition, earning the symbolic 100 pleats meant far more than simply knowing recipes. It represented discipline, repetition, and mastery of foundational cooking techniques. You weren't just someone who prepared food. You were considered a true craftsman. And over time, the chef's hat evolved into something larger than practicality or kitchen rank. It became one of the most recognizable symbols of expertise in the culinary world. A visual statement that the person wearing it had survived years of pressure, heat, and relentless training inside professional kitchens. But despite all that tradition, modern kitchens have changed dramatically. And today, many chefs no longer wear the towering white hat at all. Walk into many modern restaurant kitchens today, and you may not see towering white hats anymore. Instead, many chefs wear baseball caps, skull caps, bandanas, or lightweight kitchen beanies designed for comfort and practicality. Modern ventilation systems have also made kitchens far cooler and more manageable than the brutal cooking environments of the 1800s. For everyday restaurant work, the giant traditional toque can sometimes feel oversized, impractical, and outdated. But despite all those changes, the tall white chef's hat never truly disappeared, because its meaning became larger than its function. In prestigious culinary schools, luxury hotels, and fine dining restaurants around the world, the toque blanche still represents excellence, authority, and tradition. It connects modern chefs to centuries of culinary history, dating back to the grand kitchens of France. And psychologically, the hat still carries power. When customers see a chef standing tall in a spotless white toque, it instantly creates an image of discipline, professionalism, and mastery. The uniform communicates experience before a single dish even reaches the table. In many ways, the chef's hat became the culinary equivalent of a military officer's insignia or a judge's robe. It tells people this individual earned their position through years of training and pressure. And perhaps that's why the hat continues to survive, even in a modern world obsessed with convenience. Because some symbols become bigger than practicality. So the next time you see a chef wearing one of those towering white hats, remember, you're not just looking at a piece of fabric. You're looking at centuries of culinary history, brutal kitchen discipline, professional pride, and a symbol that once revealed exactly who held power inside some of the most intense workplaces in the world. From surviving unbearable heat to representing mastery over hundreds of cooking techniques, the chef's hat quietly tells a story most people never notice. And somehow that strange, oversized hat became one of the most respected crowns in the culinary world. If you enjoyed uncovering the hidden history behind everyday traditions, be sure to subscribe for more fascinating stories hiding in plain sight. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.